the breeding mechanics. They've just offered other venues, so for the people that don't like the breeding process at all, they can opt out of it entirely if they so choose. Hello, and welcome back to Pokemon Emerald. We are picking up where we left off, hatching these Bagon. So let us see what we have in store. Hopefully we can get our target of at least a double flawless male Bagon to replace the one that we so naively let forget. The move, I believe it was Dragon Dance, which is going to be quite useful on a Salamence. So we want to hang on to Dragon Dance. Come on. I need to hatch some eggs. I haven't thought about it, but we are at a surplus, so... what I should do is... I guess it's time to move over to a new box. It's gonna be time soon to go through those Bagon and start releasing all of the suboptimal ones. But we are slowly climbing up that strength chain. Because the RNG is not totally without mercy. Sometimes it gives you a hand. Which is the advantage of all this mass hatching of eggs. Because you have so many, sometimes you get really lucky and the RNG gives you freebies. Okay, you're looking quite good. I have the wrong nature, but that looks like a perfect physical attack stat. And maybe you have a perfect physical, maybe you have a perfect, not physical, but speed stat as well. Possibly. Or maybe it's special attack, I didn't look at that stat, but... if you are double flawless, that would be helpful. Now we are finally running down on those eggs. Still haven't hit the target, which is... and that's what kind of takes up the most time in the Generation 3 and Generation 4 breeding process. It is that egg move inheritance is locked to the male parent, and species is locked to the female parent. It's particularly managing those egg moves that is so time consuming. Because take this Bagon example, I have females that are double flawless, but the problem is I can't use them, because if I breed them with Ditto, the babies won't inherit the moves, the egg moves. So I can pass down perfect stats from their mother, but I can't pass down the egg moves. And they didn't fix that until, I think, when was that? Generation 7? Yeah, I think it was Generation 7. When they finally made it so that egg moves can be passed down by both parents. And that kind of cut the breeding process down significantly. Which is one of those... I think that changing one little thing like that wouldn't be that big of a deal, but it really was. Cut down breeding time significantly. And it's one of the many changes that they've made to breeding mechanics over the years that I feel is a great big quality of life improvement for players, without completely sacrificing the breeding process, because after all these years, there are people that just they kind of vibe with this breeding process. There's some people that just breed perfect Pokemon and don't even... They do it just for fun, they don't even use them. It's all about the process, just like with shiny hunting and such. Which makes me glad that Game Freak hasn't so far decided to try to abandon the breeding mechanics. They've just offered other venues, so for the people that don't like the breeding process at all, they can opt out of it entirely if they so choose. But it's not a free process. They will still have to seek out and hunt down certain abilities and items that let them bypass the breeding process. I think the idea of letting the player just have fully customizable Pokemon from the start is not a good idea. Because that hits at another core aspect of Pokemon, which is that you raise Pokemon. You don't make them, you raise them. And as a player, you do develop a better bond with Pokemon that you raise, which is part of the appeal of the series. It's like, just like your pet, you don't make your pet. You find your pet, you adopt your pet, and you raise your pet. So I think that if Game Freak was to just make full Pokemon customization a thing, where you just make a Pokemon from scratch, whatever you want, but that does take away that raising aspect. That you raise Pokemon and you bond with Pokemon over time. And I think Pokemon is unique as a competitive game in that aspect because it hangs on to that Well, firstly, it has that aspect of bonding and raising your Pokemon. It's not something like, say, it's not something like Call of Duty or League of Legends where you just pick your champion or pick your guns and your gun layout and you go from there. There is sort of a cold it's sort of a cold, calculated aspect to typical competitive games. You just go on and pick what's optimal and move on. While in Pokemon, the player's personal preferences takes the stage a lot more than in any other competitive game. Because if the player just chooses to do so, they can play with their favorites, whatever they want to, really. And while there are optimal picks, as with anything that becomes competitive, they metagame and find what's optimal. People don't have to play what's optimal, they can play basically whatever they like. And it's more encouraged in Pokemon than with any other game that is competitive. And nope. More rewarded, I would say. That stems from Game Freak staying loyal to the idea of raising Pokemon. Rather than just creating them out of thin air. Okay. How are we doing on fetching progress for these eggs? Okay. I'm gonna be riding with this game for a little while. Let's see what we've got. I thought about what to do with regards to the future games added to the channel. So some games I think won't be. Some games won't be on the channel. Since I do have a few games that I would keep to Patreon supporters so that the channel isn't flooded with games. Like, I recently started playing Papers, Please, which is a game that I've wanted to play for a long time. Ever since its demo and then eventual release, I've been following Papers, Please. I'm very interested in playing it. And now I finally have the chance to, so I figure I'll play through it. But I will upload the videos for Patreon supporters. Since it is an older game, not as old as this game is, but it was also a game that kind of had one of those games that I hesitate to call any game a fad game, but some games are just fads in terms of their broader appeal. And Papers, Please is one of those games where when it was a demo, it caught everyone's attention, and then it released and everyone played it. Well, most people that were interested in playing it played it. All the big YouTubers at the time and streamers played it. And it is a small game, so there's not too much to it. So I figure that the market is saturated and well beyond on that. So I just play Papers, Please for myself, upload it to Patreon, and anyone that wants to see it can see it. Since I will be playing through it mostly blind. So that will be fun. Also thinking about doing some demo games, or playing through some more demos of games. Since there are a lot of games out there that have really interesting demos that I would ideally like to play and record, just to experience what the game is, see if I like it, and also get more eyes on it, because sometimes with small devs there are really good games that go overlooked because the market is so huge. There are just so many games that sometimes games slip through the cracks and get lost. And while I don't have a large platform, sometimes people see my videos, so why not play some small indie and small studio demos that I find interesting and want to play through anyway? May as well record them and make some videos and see if other people might find an interest in them. Because that's how the industry grows. Alright, we got another Bagon. Let's check it. It's male, it's bold nature. Doesn't look too promising. That's where the RNG is routes are troublesome, but we're making some progress in filling up this box. We'll have a nice little stable of Bagon to go through. And check out their stats. Should probably be thinking ahead and looking to how I want to raise my Salamence, my eventual Salamence. Because in terms of EV training, there are two methods. There is a sort of quicker, well, yeah, I think maybe sort of a quicker cheat method, and the traditional method, which is to find the routes where majority a Pokemon's where the majority of spawns are a Pokemon that correspond to a single stat. So for instance, going to the, I think, Route 1, maybe? Like the Poochyena on Route 1, I believe they each give one single attack EV. So if we go to Route 1 and fight 252 Poochyena, that will fully maximize the attack stat of Bagon. And then if we go to a route where mostly Whismur spawn, which Whismur gives 1 point in 1 EV and HP, and fight 252 Whismur, that would max out the HP stat. So that's the traditional way of doing it. There's also a hack way of doing it using the Ditto in the Underground Pass, where you get Ditto to transform into a Pokemon, then defeat it, and you'll get the EVs from that Pokemon. So if we get Ditto to transform into Exploud, which gives 3 EVs, and defeat that Ditto, then we get 3 HP EVs in that stat. But that process is a little bit more involved because you have to have the Pokemon that you want the EVs from. Since we would be using Ditto, it would be ideal to make sure that everything gives the maximum EV yield, which is 3, which means all fully evolved Pokemon, which would mean having to evolve those Pokemon to get their fully evolved forms. It would also involve probably nerfing them by going to the move deleter and deleting all of their attacking moves, so that when Ditto transforms it can't attack or do damage. And then the process is putting the Pokemon you want Ditto to transform into first, letting Ditto transform, swapping in the Pokemon you want to gain the EVs, then swapping out to a Pokemon to actually defeat the Ditto. So even the battle is involved with multiple phases, multiple steps. But I've never done EV training that way before, so I'm curious and I might try that out just to see what it's like. And compare it to the process that I am familiar with. Since this is a mixed salamence, we'll be going for full speed, and that might be the stat that I tried with the ditto method. Okay. Hello there, Bagon. Naive might be double flawless, special attack, and speed. Which again would be the target if only it was a male. I'm starting to think about if it's time to swap. Maybe I'll do it this way. If I have two naive females that are double flawless with speed and special attack, if I have two of them, then I will put one of them in the daycare. I'll put one of them in the daycare. And not worry about what moves it gets. I'm not worried about all its moves being overwritten. And use that one to possibly breed for a male that is double flawless. And I can use that male with the ditto to get triple flawless. And we will have hit our goal for Bagon. And I think that may be the process from here on out. Unless one of these eggs happens to be a double flawless male, in which case we can skip that whole process and go right back to trying for the triple flawless. So, okay, that's our plan. We've got a plan A and a plan B. Plan A is our direct plan that we are going for. Get that double flawless male. Plan B is if we doesn't look like we're gonna get the double flawless male in time, in a reasonable amount of time, then we will step up our breeding process. Naive. Nope. That's not double flawless. Glad that we burned through that egg surplus, because now I don't have to worry about what if the Bagon I'm looking for is in one of those eggs. I know that the Bagon is not in these eggs, then it doesn't exist yet. Okay. guessing that now is a good time to wrap it up. So, thank you so much for watching. In the next episode, we will continue on with this breeding process. Maybe switch things up if I do have 2 double flawless female Bagon that I can use. So we will find out in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and comment and subscribe. I very much appreciate your support as I'm going through this process. And until the next episode, take care.